Hello. This time we're going to look at the issues of creating a new teleplace and outfitting it with various objects that we have that we can use. It's very simple to create a new teleplace, but you do have to be the administrator. You simply go to Teleplaces menu, you go to All Teleplaces, and notice that there's a list at the bottom of the Teleplaces list, which is a list of templates that can be used for a conference room. We're going to create a blue conference room, and you simply right click on it and say create a conference room B. And you can put a name in here. I'm just going to call this meeting room conference blue, and I hit the OK button. And what it's going to do is it's going to create that room, and it's going to take me to the room. I'm done creating teleplaces, so here I am. And I can look around and notice that the conference room is pretty sparse. It's got a table, but no chairs. And so I want to be able to make this room a little bit more usable, a little bit more user-friendly. And firstly, I'm going to go to the wall here and show you how to create a panel. Outfitting your conference room is a very simple thing to do. You simply go to Tools, and you go down to the Object Catalog, and you'll notice that on the right side of your panel there is a whole inventory of objects. Notice that there are inventories of mine, things that I have imported, but there are also a number of canned inventory objects, chairs and tables, and we're going to look immediately at displays. So I click on Displays, and I want to put a display panel on the wall. So I simply drag and drop, and there it is. Now I can move the display panel by clicking on the top bar and dragging it around. I can resize it by grabbing in the lower right corner and resizing it like this. I can move it by right-clicking on it and saying Resize. And this allows me to do a number of things. For instance, this is true of all objects. Notice I have this hovering crosshair on there, and if I grab that, I can move this around like that. If I hover near the edge, I notice I get a band, and the band means that I can rotate it. I can simply grab and I can rotate this panel like this. And it's a little bit tricky sometimes if you've pulled it out of square when something's right up against the wall, but we'll leave it like that. You can also grab the corner and resize the panel by grabbing the corner. You'll notice that the icon changes with each of these things that you're able to do. When you're done, you simply click on the object, you right click, and you say Done. And it leaves it where it is. Of course, you can move it by grabbing the panel, just grabbing the panel and moving like this. Now this is an active display panel where I can display all my documents, as you've seen in an earlier video. We can add as many of these panels as we want, but for the sake of discussion and argument, I'm going to go over here to my conference table. After all, this is a conference room, and as I look, I see I do not have any chairs for people to sit in. So I go to my tables, and I can select a number of things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move over here in the middle of the room, and I'm going to pull a conference table. The conference table has a number of chairs already. Again, I drag it into the room like that, and it positions itself. Conference table is just like any other object in Teleplace. If you right click on it, you can resize it, which means that you can grab it, move it around, and you'll notice that if you move it up and down, you can find the point at which the chairs begin to go into the ground, and you can adjust where they are. You could also rotate this whole thing around again, as we showed before, and make it so it's sitting like this. And I'm going to right click on it and say done, because I'm going to leave it here. And I want to add a few chairs off behind this object where some people are going to sit who are not immediately part of this. And so again, as I scroll through, I can pick chairs or stools or a straight chair. I'm going to pick these swan chairs. I'm just going to put one out on the floor here. I right mouse click it. I can resize it, which means I can grab it, resize, which means I can spin it so that it's oriented in a certain way. And I can move it a little bit, grab it here, and I can move it a little bit closer to and position it closer to the table. So you can see that by doing this, again I right click and I say that I'm done. By doing this, I set up a number of venues. Again, we go back and suppose on this table that I want a tabletop display. I can find a desktop display and I can drag it on top of the table. And notice that it will move to the height of the table. In this case, you grab the base and you can move it to the table. A lot of these displays can be are oriented by moving the display and by grabbing the base of it to rotate it. And it always sort of rotates to where you're facing when you do that. I removed the desktop display for now just to keep the room uncluttered. And I want to show you some other things that we can do. Suppose we want to set up an area here where we're going to work a number of different screens and we want them sort of nicely displayed. You can do a display stand. A display stand just comes out, it goes on the floor. Again, you grab the base to basically move it around. And you can edit it like the other ones if you want to resize it. Grab the corners, resize it, and notice that I now can have something which is sort of creates an alcove, if you will, for working together. Notice that there are also, if you wanted to work in this area and you wanted to put up a poster, there's a thing here, we can drag a poster. We simply put it on the wall. And you can add a picture to this by dragging and dropping a picture onto it. And that creates a poster that might go between the walls. I am going to delete the poster. But you also have what they call signs, and I can drag a sign onto the wall. And the sign, it sits against the wall, and I can simply click on it, double click, and I can type in work area. And notice that I can simply at any time move these things around. So now I have my work area set up. You can put in a mirror. You can put in various kinds of displays as we've seen. In addition, there are certain applications that can be applied, and they simply can be put on the wall just like anything else. We'll go over here to this space, and we can put a timer on the wall. The timer is a Python application, and you can set the time to 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour. And you simply start, and it's a countdown timer that shows you how much time you have left. If you have a meeting and you're watching the time, that would be something that you might want to do. There is also a whiteboard application, which is also a Python application running on a board. And notice that there's a number of features here where you can use it to draw, and it's a little bit clumsy because of the lag sometimes, but all these features, put in lines, And these features can be erased. You can take a snapshot of this, of course, with the screen image saver, but suffice it to say there is a whiteboard which has some uses in applications, and you'll find uses for that. I'm going to delete this panel. There is other furniture. There's a number of card holders, card racks. Remember, everything's in an object, so you can just put a card rack on a stand right here and adjust it in the same way that you do other things. And if you drag an object onto this card rack, it will save it, leave it there for the next person who comes along. You have a wall clock which you can put up on the wall, and it shows the local time according to your time zone. There are lecterns. There's a tabbed wall which has some interesting properties, allows you to put different things for different people on different tabs that you create. There's a shelf that we can put right here, and it came in way up in the air, so I'm going to simply move it down. I suppose it could go against the wall and be up in the air, but there we have a shelf that you might use to put objects on the shelf. Any documents or anything that appears on one of these boards, you can drag it and leave it on the shelf for other people to see. There are garden things like butterflies and oak trees and so forth. If you're interested in landscaping your room, you can add lights, different kinds of light bulbs, and move them around and manipulate them in the same way. And there are sound effects, and guaranteed someone in your meeting is going to discover the cricket and throw it down on the table, and you'll have to figure out how to get rid of it. So the idea here is that you have at your disposal many, many things to decorate and change and reorder the room that you want and create the space the way that you want it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it's been helpful in helping to set up places in Teleplace. Keep your eyes out for more videos about how to use and function in Teleplace. Thank you.